It's okay to be spiritual, even if you're not religious, don't have any crystals to put under the moon, and don't have time to meditate.
Because that's when life gets fun, becomes fulfilling, and then you discover that it really is okay to be spiritual.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Views expressed are those of the hosts and guests' personal experiences. The information provided is not a substitute for professional advice, whether medical, legal, or otherwise.
Welcome back to another episode of It's Okay to be Spiritual. Lori just shuffled in record time.
I certainly did. And so this card is...
Have you ever had spiritual envy? Whoa.
Yes, no, Helen?
Yes.
I think it would be impossible not to. Do you think?
Well, envy always comes from the ego, right?
Yeah.
From fear of not turning out like that yourself, not having that skill yourself, or not being skilled enough, or not being like them. It stems from comparison and judgment and things like that. So you asked me, do you think it's possible to have the journey without spiritual envy? And well, I'd have to say no, because as we move out of the ego and into our true selves, we're going to have egoic things happen, like spiritual envy.
And what, can you think of anything you were envious of that you can do now, or that you're still envious of?
Well, I'd probably, the people who have skills like yours, the psychic and the medium skills, because they're so obvious. They're so direct. I don't know if I'll ever have exactly skills like that. I think spiritual envy is really when you just wish you could have those skills. I wish I could be clairvoyant, or I wish, particularly meditation groups, some people get really visual meditations, and other people just get sort of meditations where they feel and sense things. And then when the person who gets the really visual experience shares that visual experience where they saw the earth opening up and there were planets inside, or they were walking on glass and they could see right through things, or whatever it is that visual gives that person for their learning and their experience, that's really easy to envy.
Yeah, and you think you're doing something wrong, right? Why aren't I having experiences like that? Why do I meditate and just hear goddamn songs in my head, I mean, that's why you're meditating. That song is the message, by the way. But you might receive differently. But I agree, I do get the meditation envy. But because I haven't been around it too long, I don't know the full extent of my envy, because I don't go to a lot of meditation groups. I don't hang out with a lot of spiritual people. So I have spiritual envy, but it's mostly just because I haven't known to do it or haven't tried it myself. So was envious of the people who could do those healings online, and you just see someone sitting on this side of the computer and they'd be just moving their hands like, the spiritual
light language.
No, the spinal energetics.
Oh.
So spinal energetics that are very fluid and mobile. And so you'll see them. There's an amazing guy in America that does it. And the person will be lying on the bed and they'll just like pull up behind the back of their shoulders and the whole body will start convulsing, and he's just sitting behind a computer and they're at their house a million miles away.
Oh, wow.
And he's just able to manipulate energy with his hands and a thought. And I actually reached out to him.
Oh.
And I asked him, how do you do this? Like, what's the secret? And so
his response was?
Spoiler alert. So he gets them to drink a lot of water before the session, because it helps, because water obviously is working with the energy. So you have to be very fluid. You have to be very open to it as well. And you have to be a mover. So we know someone who does spinal work, and there are spinal movers and non-spinal movers.
I'm a non-mover.
I'm a mover. I just flail around like no one's business. And so I want to be able to do that for other people as well. And more just not from an ego point of view, but just because I think that's amazing to be able to sit somewhere and do that. But I actually discovered I can do it through incident on a Zoom reading. I was doing a card reading on someone and I knew they needed a solar clearing. and Spirit just said, just do it. And I just thought, this is insane. And I don't normally get a choice in this. And they just keep saying, just do it, just do it, just do a guided meditation as if you were doing it on yourself. So I do a lot of work on myself. And so I just used everything that I would do on myself, and I close my eyes, and energy transcends space and time, and you can do it whenever you like. And if you listen to meditations, the energy from that meditation still follows through when you repeatedly listen to it. And so I did it on this woman, and I watched her body move, and she was feeling it down the leg that I was visualizing it coming down, and I was blown away at what I was doing, to be honest. So I feel like envy is possibly just there because it's things you don't believe are possible that you can do. And when you change that mindset and you just think, well, he can do it, I'm going to give it a go. And I trust my team will let me do it when the time is right and when I've got the ability and when I have faith in myself. And I had no one to measure that against. I don't know how anyone else is clearing chakras over Zoom, but that was just what I did, and it worked. And she had a physical sensation, and she could tell me where she was feeling it, and I've done it since, and every time it just works. So I had envy, and then I removed the mindset that I wasn't capable of doing that. And so now I don't have much envy because I know it's just things I haven't attempted yet.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that. One of the things I was taught really early in my spiritual journey was never to expect a spiritual experience to be the same twice. And I didn't understand the impact of that teaching at the time. With hindsight now, I realize it's helped to keep my mind open. So, and my expectations muted, not necessarily low. Like, it's helped me remove expectation from spiritual experiences. So then that allows it to be different every time. And so that also helps to reduce envy, but it also helps to expand experiences as well. Yeah. I don't know why that just popped in then.
But I think that's also really good to know that just because you meditate like that one day or for a couple of months doesn't mean it won't evolve and change. Or, you know, if you have a healing session with someone and you get a big physical release, or, you know, you have massive life-changing things happen after it, don't go back expecting the same thing, because you get what is for your highest good at that point in time. And so if you had a big physical release, next time you might go and you'll have absolutely nothing. And because of expectation, you'll think that something big needs to happen or it has to go a certain way, but it doesn't.
Also, too, from a practitioner's point of view, you know, if you do this, let's call it a technique, and on one person it caused them to shake their leg and feel it in their knee. And then the next time you do it, the person's a non-mover, as you said, and they're like, oh, that was relaxing.
Yeah. Yeah, and people could jump off the spiritual train because there's too much envy. You just think, I can't do it. Like, I can't possibly do that. I don't feel, they said they get all these things when they give Reiki. I don't get that. I mustn't be doing it wrong. I can't even feel it in my hands. Because you're not meant to. Like, your experience is yours, and you're not meant to compare to others, or you're not meant to be like someone else, because that's why you will stand out in your space.
Well, we're all unique, aren't we? We're all made unique, so we're not meant to be like anyone else. I think, Lori, to wrap up the spiritual envy topic, whenever that happens to me now, I know I've slipped back into my ego.
The old ego.
The old ego. I know I've started comparing myself to that person, and I've stopped limiting. I've limited my uniqueness and stopped being me and started wanting to be someone else. And so now I use it as a warning, a reminder.
That's a great way to look at it.
Hey, Helen, just be me.
Yeah. Use it as inspiration, but know that you have your own special way of doing it.
Yeah. So don't be mad at yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just redirect.
That sounds great. We'll catch you next time.
Bye for now.